I don't know if it was rigged. I don't know if it was written. UFC 280 is in the books. And man, what a fucking card it was. From top to bottom, I was fucking in it the whole fucking time. Islam Makhachev's your champ. Aljamain Sterling's your champ with a shoulder dislocation in the first 12 seconds of the fight from TJ. Peter Yan getting robbed of his freaking chance to fight for the title. Like, come on. How could you write a better main event for one of the most deepest cards in UFC history? I don't know if it was rigged. I don't know if it was written. But even having Alexander Volkanovski coming in at the very end to have a freaking title versus title fight, like, come on. That is such... If you already know it's a big card... that is such a perfect build-up, and I am not complaining at all. Starting off with Charles Oliveira versus Islam Makhachev. And man, what a fight. I could not be any more excited when the fight started because honestly, with the whole TJ fight happening and his shoulder dislocation, I was a little low vibes, low energy with the beginning of the fight. But once I started to walk out, I completely just hit me. These two are freaking savages, and it is going to be a war. I thought it was going to be more of a 5-round war, but you know, Islam ended up catching Oliveira in the second round with a beautiful counter left or right. I forget. But, man, it was beautiful. Put Oliveira right down. And Islam just completely took over. Put him in a triangle choke. And it was game over from there. Now, the first fight, honestly, that had me thinking it was going to go maybe 5 rounds. I wasn't too sure. But after the second round, you could see Islam, there was something there. There was something in Islam that he was going to finish that fight and win no matter what it took. And really, some people would probably give the first round to Islam. You could say maybe 50-50, but most people would probably give it to Islam because he had top control the whole time. And yeah, Oliveira was fighting back from guard, but honestly, I think Islam had the majority of the control on the first round. Now, right afterwards, Daniel Cormier's in there talking with Islam, and Khabib's right behind him. Khabib gets the mic, mentions Alexander Volkanovski being the pound-for-pound number 1, and what do you know? Alexander Volkanovski's right there. And yeah, I know he was. What do you know? Alexander Volkanovski's right there. Somebody, which perfectly, that's plausible, but. I'm not saying the UFC is rigged or anything, but I do think they had that a little plan, which is perfectly fine. It got me excited for the fight while just watching it because just watching what Islam did, I definitely think that would be an entertaining fight. Now, I don't know what weight class they're going to fight at, but I'm definitely going to be tuning into that fight. Now, there's not really that much to cover in the next fight. I mean, TJ Dillashaw dislocated his shoulder in the first round within the first 10 seconds. And, you know, dude, he gained my respect so much. He already had my respect from doing it his last fight when he completely blew out his knee and continued to fight. It was, you know, I think that's pretty crazy to do, especially after you're having all this criticism about cheating and whatnot and going through a huge mental battle through your 2-year suspension. And I 100% agree. He deserved it. Cheaters going to cheat, and they're going to, if they get caught, get disciplined. So that's what happens. That's the way the cookie crumbles. No matter what, if you blow out I saw his shoulder just hanging there. I saw him screaming and wheezing in the first freaking 10 seconds, 20 seconds of the fight. You could tell he was struggling, and he survived the whole first round. If you're looking at one of Aljamain's weaknesses, how did he not finish TJ in the first round? I mean, yeah, hats off, he did it in the second round, but that's after he dislocated it a second time. TJ gets off this is his mindset. I feel like his corner read it. Oh, shit. Fuck it. It happened. I got to survive, and they're pulling my shoulder back, and I'm fighting second round. Let's go. I'm putting all energy in second round. And, you know, it ended up not happening, and it is what it is. And I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens next with TJ. And also with Aljamain, because I think you have a lot of contenders in Chito Vera coming up, as well as you've got the winner of Petr Yan versus Sean O'Malley, which is going to be Sean O'Malley fighting, obviously. So if they're saying what they said, then Sean O'Malley's going to be fighting Aljamain next, and I don't think after watching Sean O'Malley in that fight that he's got what it takes to beat Aljamain when it comes to grappling. Now, when it comes to standing, yeah, he's definitely got it. He made zero questions asked that he has got a good striking game, probably very similar to Conor McGregor's style, where if he connects, you've got the possibility of getting knocked the fuck out. But at the same time, I think he's got that same big weakness that Conor McGregor had, which is when it comes to the ground, you know the basics, but you are getting controlled. If you want to get up, you are not going to get up. And Peter Yan's a pretty small guy. I think Aljamain's like 5'7", but honestly, I think it's going to be an interesting fight if Sean O'Malley fights. But let's also talk about the whole entire fact that I think the judges were smoking kind of got robbed. I think Peter Yan completely won the second and third round. I have no clue what the judges were smoking, but, this shit happens in the sport. It's known to happen, especially overseas sometimes. But, usually in Abu Dhabi, you would think they might have more of a favor for the ground game and ground control, but obviously not. I don't know what the judges were thinking. Peter Yan had a total of I think it was 118 or 120 strikes, and O'Malley had, 80 or 90 something. So when it came to total strikes, Yan had more. When it came to significant strikes, O'Malley had more. But when it came to ground control, Peter Yan had 6 out of 13 takedowns. O'Malley had 0 out of 1. Yan had 5 minutes of ground control. O'Malley had 0. That's just me looking at it from stats and saying, for me, Yan won the second and third round. He had more ground control. He was pressing the fight more. He was putting more pressure on Sean. And if you even look at Sean O'Malley's reaction, I think he thought he lost. I think he's someone who always has a lot of words to say when it comes to those things. And that fight didn't go the way he planned at all. And that's probably the deepest water he's ever been in, which I said in my predictions. I said O'Malley was going to lose because he hasn't been put in deep waters when it comes to grappling. But don't get me wrong. He proved himself. He proved himself a lot that, yeah, he can strike. He can stand with the best of the best. Peter Yan's no joke when it comes to striking. He's a Muay Thai freaking beast. And he freaking put Yan on his feet, on his toes a lot. When it comes to Sean O'Malley, he's no joke. But I think when it comes to Aljamain Sterling, it's going to be a completely different fight. So those were the top 3 fights. Then we had Beneil Dariush versus, and I'm still going to get this wrong, Matiz Gamrot. I think I was saying Garmot in the predictions. Completely butchered that shit. But I had my money on Beneil Dariush winning, and what do you know? Beneil Dariush coming out on top. I think he really dominated. He had an answer for everything that Matez had for him. Quite frankly, I think Beneil Dariush is going to be someone to look out for in the lightweight division. I know he's in his 30s, I believe, but I think he's still looking and moving really good when it comes to his grappling. He had an answer for everything that Matez brought to him. He was quicker. He was faster. He was more stronger than him when it came to being on top. He had way more control during the fight. Maybe you see Beneil Dariush versus Charles Oliveira next. And I think that's a fight I'm definitely going to watch 100%. I think that's going to be a really interesting fight. And even Beneil Dariush's striking, it didn't look bad. He got in a couple good strikes. And coming to the last fight, which was the first fight of the night, because we do it backwards here, we are going with Chookagian versus Fiorot. And Fiorot ended up coming out on top, beating the number 1 contender. And there was a lot of talk she's going to fight for the title next. And that is going to end up being against Shevchenko, which, she's a total fucking badass. So if Fiorot's really got the striking like she kind of showed, I do think that, there was some back and forth. I think Chookagian put in a good fight. I don't think it was completely one-sided, and I do think there is some holes in Fiorot's game. And when they asked Fiorot about Shevchenko, she said, maybe let me fight everyone else in the division and then I'll fight Shevchenko. So I don't even think she wants to fight her because she knows that she's a badass. And I don't think she wants to blow that opportunity when it comes. But at the same time, who else is going to go and fight Shevchenko if no one wants to fight her? That's a problem. But overall, it was a really good card. It was really entertaining. Even with the controversy in the Jan O'Malley fight, it was a really good fight. No one can disagree. It was a back and forth fight. It was really good. I 100% agree. It should have went to Jan, but this has happened before. It's probably going to happen again, and all we can say is it's got to change. The judging, something about the judging has to be changed. Something about the scoring needs to be changed. I didn't end up doing a watch party. That's ended up because I had some technical difficulties with my ESPN account. But don't worry, I will have one for the next pay-per-view on November 12th. Expect a whole bunch of content for the Allen versus Kattar fight. Allen's a big up-and-comer. Calvin Kattar's a big freaking dude. I know he's a freaking monster in the cage. Check out the Max Holloway versus Calvin Kattar one we had about a year or two ago. It was a really good fight. That's how I know Calvin Kattar. So I think it's going to be a really entertaining fight night. Tune in this week for content on that. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you guys thought about the card. And don't forget there's going to be the press conference. I'm going to have content on that. We are going to have a whole bunch of news coming out this week when it comes to the MMA world. So let's get it and have a great fucking weekend, baby.